So, welcome to the HBX CPU-0550 introduction. We'll take you through, basically what the control can do. Most people will know a little bit about HBX already. Product started testing in 2002. We sold our first control in 2005. So we try to keep things as simple as possible in regards to setting up the control, wiring the control, ease of use. So we have everything from thermostats, boilers, geothermal, snow melt, solar controls. So with our new CPU-0550 control, we made many changes over the previous CPU-500 boiler control. So we have a new enclosure, a new display, and comes with a 3-button user interface that's extremely easy to program, and you'll be able to see all your system information on the main screen. So this control can be used with the following applications. You can use it with staging, mixing, differential set point, or as a pump sequencer. If you need a geothermal application, the previous CPU-500 had that programming inside that control, but now you'll purchase our brand new Eco-550, and that's a dedicated geothermal control. So here are some of the main features of the control. You can do up to 3 on-off boilers or a single mod boiler. You can do multiple pump selections, a domestic hot water, boiler pump, a system pump, your boiler runtime rotation. You have multiple mixing options. You can do injection, a floating action valve, or a 0 to 10 volt. Some of the main benefits from this control is it's really easy to program. It's easy to wire up. We have color-coded and keyed terminals. And all your system info is displayed on the main screen. So on this slide you see the user interface. You can see if you have a heat demand, a domestic hot water, warm weather shutdown, you have your boiler target and your current temperature, system target and temperature, and you can see how many stages, if the stages are on, if the domestic hot water system pump or injection pump is on or off. You'll also see the connectors and where you'd wire up your boilers, your sensors, and also your power. So here you can see where you would wire your demand inputs into, where your sensor inputs would be wired up, and then also your relays. Over on the right hand side you have your 3 relays there, 1, 2, and 3, and then your power supply is basically right in the middle of the connectors. So when you first power up the control, this is where you will choose what application you need the control to be. So from there, after you choose, the display will take you into the status screen. So on the 3 buttons, if you press and hold the enter button, the middle button, it will take you into the settings screen. So it'll go into setup mode. And then if you choose number 1, boiler setup, that's where you can get into some further control options and settings. So we'll get into some of the applications. So as a boiler control, it allows the capabilities to run 3 on-off boilers or a single mod boiler with domestic hot water. So you can see there's a system status screen along with the system function screen on the display. So with the CPU-1000, we had 2 different screens. So what we've done is we've kind of condensed it and put it all onto the main screen, so you can see all your information without having to scroll through multiple screens. So these are the settings and the control you'd adjust when choosing a boiler control. you would have 1, 2, or 3 stage or a mod boiler settings. You'd have your design temperature, a domestic hot water setup, and then also your heat demand. So pretty straightforward for setting up the control with all the applications. There's there's not a lot of different screens you're going to have to go into to make changes. So some of the options in here and wiring diagrams that we have in the manual. This slide shows a single on-off boiler, and this also has a domestic hot water pump. Here you have 2 on-off boilers with a domestic hot water pump. So showing also with a thermostat, a THM 100, and how you would power that up and connect it to the relays. And then with this wiring diagram, this is a three on-off boilers, so you can do up to 3 stages. And then this is a single mod boiler with a domestic hot water pump connected. So the next one would be mixing control. This control has the capabilities to run a single on-off or a mod boiler. The mixing types include a modulating, a floating action valve, or an injection pump. With the mixing setup, you choose 1, 2, 3 stage or a mod boiler. You set up your design temperatures, your domestic hot water settings, and also the mixing setup. So this is a wiring diagram. It's a single on-off boiler, and it is with an injection pump and also a domestic hot water pump. So all of your relays are basically to the right of your connections. This is a single on-off boiler, and this has a floating action valve. So power open, power close. And this one is a single on-off boiler with modulating valve output, so a 1 to 10, and also has a domestic hot water pump. And this is a single modulating boiler with a domestic hot water pump also. And then you have 2 on-off boilers with a domestic hot water pump. So all of these wiring diagrams are in the manual. We try to put as much as we possibly can within the manual. If you ever need wiring diagrams, you can get in touch with customer support or tech support, and they'll be able to give you a wiring diagram based off sequence of operations, or if you have a mechanical drawing and some of your customers need a wiring diagram to go with the control, let us know. We can definitely do that for you pretty quick. The turnaround is really quick with that. So in the differential set point mode, it will allow for dual or differential set point requirements. So you would see the differential that you've set up, and both the set points 1 and 2 that you set up in your control. So with the differential settings, the first one, you're setting up the differential between your two set points. The second one is adjusting your mod time when the mod output needs to be increased or decreased. And number 3 is setting up your minimum mod percentage. So you set your minimum mod level, the modulating output can go down to. And then obviously number 4 is just Celsius or Fahrenheit adjustments. So not too much to change for the differential set point. We do have defaults right in there. This is just a differential wiring diagram, so this is how you'd wire up your differential set point. This is showing with pump 1, pump 2, and pump 3. So also a pump sequencer settings. The control allows the system to sequence and cycle the pumps, override the pumps, and turn the pumps off when the outdoor temperature goes above the warm weather shutdown. So this provides pump control for 2 pumps. You can rotate on cycles, on time, and if you connect an outdoor sensor, you have your warm weather shutdown. So essentially it's basically a Tecmar 132 control. So here's your settings for the pump sequencer. You'll set up in the control a manual override for pump 1, manual override for pump 2, your rotation in time, your rotation in cycles, and also your warm weather shutdown settings in the control. And this is a wiring diagram we have in the manual for the pump sequencer. So 2 pumps. So those are the applications you can use the CPU-0550 for. Like I had mentioned previous, the CPU-500 boiler control also had geothermal settings, so I will very quickly touch upon that since we now have a dedicated geothermal control. So with our Eco Control, it'll run your heat pumps or your chillers. It'll run your reversing valve. You can run a single or a dual tank system. It also has outdoor reset on the hot and the cold tank. You have your warm weather, you have your cold weather shutdowns. You can rotate on time or on cycles. And as an Eco Control, this can do everything an Eco 1000 can do, but it can do 3 stages. So the previous one only had 2 relays, so we've added an extra relay so we can really get into a 2 heat pump and a backup option, which gets us into the majority of the applications out there without having to get into the Eco 1000. So it'll save your customer some money at the end of the day, not having to purchase the 1000 series controls. Currently the Eco 550 isn't an expandable control, and that may change down the road. So with the new display, you'll see all of your system information without going through multiple screens also, just like the CPU 550 control. So if there's a heating demand or a cooling demand, it'll show your temperatures for current application along with the targets that you've set up, which heat pumps are on or off, along with the backup and a reversing valve. This also has a multicolored backlit display, and this just gives you a visual on what the system is currently doing at that time. So if you walk into the mechanical room and you see, let's say, yellow, that means the demand is satisfied. If it's red, there's current heating demand. and blue, the cooling demand is on. So the same goes for the CPU-0550 control. It also has a multicolor backlit display. And then this is just showing that you can a two-stage geothermal with using a single buffer tank. And then this diagram shows a two-stage setup running both hot and cold tanks, so a dual tank situation. So that's it for the CPU-0550 control. Thanks for listening in. We do have more webinars on our website, so always check back to see kind of what we're doing, and we will be coming up with some 550 control setting video clips. So what we want to do is have a bunch of video clips for each application, how to set it up, walking through the control. So watch for those. Those are going to be starting right away, and we will place all of that information on our website. So always check to see what's going on. I'll make sure if I have contact information I can send out updates as to what we're doing. So that's kind of what we'll be working on currently for the remainder of the summer, is just settings also for all of the 550 controls. The Snow 550 should be out shortly. And yeah, no, thanks for listening. Does anybody have any questions?
She says, find out how they